But the reason that that is so important is because you're not going to get those answers until you're able to do that. And to be able to do that, you're going to have to sit in the discomfort for a minute.
Why are we so obsessed with productivity? A few years ago, it was a badge of honor to ride the grind culture. Get up at 4 a.m., have your protein shake, down your coffee, run 5 miles before the sun comes up. You are a badass. Check your to-do list. That bitch is about to be murdered today. Your calendar looks like your kid colored it with every paint or crayon in the book because there is no white space at all. You got this, bro.
You got this, bro.
Start work at 7 a.m. You get more done in the first 3 hours of your day, and the world hasn't even begun to start waking up yet. Those other folks, they are lazy. Hustle, grind, get it done. If you want to be the best, you have to do things that other people aren't willing to do. Have you heard that? Oh, it's intoxicating. You do have the chance to be great, greater than your parents, greater than your peers. Greatness is only achieved when you work for it, right? But you have to get up and do the work. You have to do more than everybody else. And if you aren't willing to go as hard as you can go, are you lazy? Are you unmotivated? Does that mean you're not ambitious? Maybe kind of a loser. That hamster wheel doesn't really have an end point, does it? But what if the opposite is true? What if living a life of ease and following your own rhythms is the key to your riches, whether it is financial or well-being? Now, this is a question that I've been asking myself. This is a human experiment that I'm working through right now in real time. Today, we are talking about the laziness lie with 6-time guest on Culture Changers podcast. My girl, Cindy Robinson, is back. Cindy is a parent coach and an advocate for reshaping our mental health. If you want to know more, please subscribe to my work at ALLISON'S.com or hit me up on the socials. Now let's get to it. Here is Cindy Robinson. Well, you always have such interesting topics where people are like, oh my God, Cindy did it again. So I'm so glad that you're here. And today we're talking about the laziness lie. And the laziness lie is an essay that was published by Devin Price that was kind of debunking the myth that we are all in this achievement productivity culture. And me personally, that I've just quit my job and am very productivity minded. And the things that are going on through my head over, that I'm a piece of shit because I'm not doing more or doing something more productive. And that is awful and so destructive, where I'm noticing it and trying to correct it. But I would love to understand your perspective on laziness and why do we feel like we have to produce something or earn something to be worthy?
Yeah, I mean, why is because it's pretty much supported everywhere we go, right? Our culture validates that belief that productivity equals worth. So unfortunately, our self-worth is tangled up in our productivity, what we produce, what we provide for others. So because that's true, because our culture validates that lie, we all believe that in order to be worthy of love, of rest, of all these things, that we have to be productive. So you're just basically ascribing to the culture that you were born into. But like you mentioned, Devin Price, Dr. Devin Price is a phenomenal author, and he wrote the book, Laziness Does Not Exist. If you like this podcast and the message, go buy that book. It'll validate everything that I'm saying. It was a big eye-opener for me and a big turning point for me. But yeah, it turns out that's just not true. Self-worth actually comes intrinsically, and it's something we're entitled to at birth, that we're entitled to self-worth, we're entitled to love, and we're entitled to rest. We're entitled to these things just by breathing and existing, and we don't actually have to earn them.
Why isn't that enough? Because I didn't get that message, you know?
Yeah, no, none of us really are sent that message at birth, which is the time that we probably should be told that. Yeah, it's just because it's a big, and it goes way back in our culture, way back in American culture, but it's kind of saturated a lot of other cultures around the world as well. But it's just not true. And if you live in a way that it prioritizes your worth, and you live in if you're having a goal of having a life of ease, like we talked about earlier, nothing happens. It turns out nothing falls apart. we kind of think we have to earn our place in this world. But when you kind of stop and you step out of that culture and you live with the goal of having a life of ease and listening to what your body tells you to do at the time it tells you to do it, the world does not fall apart.
But I think society a few years ago really glamorized hustle culture, the grind culture of showing up early to work, late to work, making sure that you're always on, that you answer emails from your boss at 9:00 at night because you want to show your commitment. You want to show that you're worthy. And so I think the pandemic kind of expedited a correction on that, where there are a lot of people that are saying, no, this can be easy, and kind of going with your own rhythm. But I also think that there is, like I have my own challenges with, if I stop like a shark, I'm going to sit on this couch and I'm never getting up. And I'm going to keep eating the Doritos. And there is a big intrinsic fear. And maybe that's personal to me, but I wonder, how do we start unwinding that?
Yeah, well, I mean, so what you're more so describing is if you stop, you'll fall into a depression, or you'll fall into some sort of mental illness hole that you won't be able to get yourself out of, because you do know what that feels like. And certainly when you first stop, that wave hits you anytime you stop. For a lot of people, that's why bedtime is terrifying. Like, they lay down at night and all the thoughts come in, right? So from your experience, every time you do slow down or stop, a lot of thoughts catch up to you, a lot of weighing, looming feelings catch up to you, and it's terrifying. But the misconception is that that's what happens when we rest. That's what happens when you stop, which is not the same thing as that's what happens when we prioritize our bodies and we're compassionate towards ourselves and we allow ourselves to rest, have a life of ease, follow our natural rhythms in life. No, that's just what happens when you stop, because you've been running a rat race that wasn't built for you. You're either living a life that you were told would bring happiness, but it doesn't for you. And that would be, like living in an inauthentic life to you. Or your worth is attached to something external when it should be intrinsic. It should just be there. But you've attached it to other things, and that's why it never fulfills it. Like, no matter how much you achieve, no matter
that's
how much
true.
you do.
But I wonder if we deconstruct this for a minute, because I think, like if we take the concept of a scarcity mentality versus an abundant mentality, and I don't say that spiritually, of just, the quantum physics of living abundantly. While I kind of subscribe to it, I think from the reality of, that concept that I think is being dismantled now, is that, especially for women, there's only one position, or there are only a few positions. And there is a reality that I think is less than 5% of all executives are female and heads of companies in the US. So there is a lot of work to go. And I think there is a lot of acculturation that says there are only a few spots. And I think that scarcity versus abundant, how do we start to kind of figure out what that looks like for us, where we feel like, if I don't do this, everything falls apart?
Yeah, well, I mean, first, I always have to put a clause that, of course, some people are living with restricted means or, just below the poverty line, whatever the reason might be, that of course choices are gonna be limited, and we can't look at them and be like, oh, you're just stop thinking you're lazy, or, there are people that are trapped in the system that they're in, and they may not have the ability to get themselves out. But for a lot of people, they think that, and it's not true. And when you said that about the spots being limited at the table in a scarcity mindset, what I'm trying to do is shift the perspective that you even want a seat at that table, because that table was built and that room was created and that position was created to head towards this achievement obsessed culture. And this product, and that most likely that seat at that table is just more proving your worth through being productive. You're just still in the machine. You're still in the wheel. So it's a call to ask people, do you want to even be at that table? If you want to be there, okay. But if we eliminate the number of people who actually don't want to be at that table, and that's not what's meant for them, they're just trying to prove something, or they're trying to earn something that is not right for them. When we eliminate those people, it's a lot less scarce, right? Like the people who actually that fulfills them to fight over the seat at the table, okay. But for a whole lot of people, they're fighting and they don't even know why, or it's to earn something that they innately deserve just by existing.
But I think that's where we're kind of stuck in the vortex, because I can't even tell you and explain to you how many Instagram accounts or people are dedicated to helping somebody find their purpose. Where people are like, wait, I kind of feel like this corporate life is bullshit, but what do I do? Like this is all I know. And so I know for myself, that productivity of me being somebody who's dependable, somebody that is never going to let you down if I make a commitment, that I'm going to perform, that I'm not, like that to me is a value. So without that, who am I? And I think people are really struggling with, I feel like I'm at the breaking point from a work perspective. I'm good at it. I don't know that I love it, but then what? What do I do? And so I think it's kind of untangling the identity that we put on ourselves.
Yeah, because what's essentially happening when people feel that way, and when this is happening, is you are looking towards external places for an internal fulfillment or answers. You're asking, who am I? But you're asking it to other people, or you're trying to find other people who seem to know who they are and then be like them. There's a whole lot wrapped up in that, when really that's a very intrinsic question.
I feel this.
Yeah. And that's why I'm always, I'm always pointing to you. Look within, right? Like you have these answers. You have what you need. And this is what I do, right? With working with clients, is a lot of them are coming to me because they're burnt out in their jobs, or they're at some sort of crossroads, or they're a mom now and they really are like, this does not feel enough, and I feel guilty that this doesn't feel like enough. And it's always about, hold up. Like it seems like you're looking outside yourself, and myself included. They're coming to me, looking to me to tell them who they are. And that's not what I do. It's about turning them back towards themselves, tapping into their intuition, connecting the mind with the body, which we've talked about many times before. But the reason that is so important is because you're not going to get those answers until you're able to do that. And to be able to do that, you're going to have to sit in the discomfort for a minute. Like that looming feeling that you have that you talk about comes over you. You're going to have to sit in it for a minute, because that is a whole lot of neural pathways that have been set through you having productivity attached to worth. You got to reset those neural pathways and stop validating them. That's a whole lot of stress and anxiety and feelings of not being in touch with yourself that you've been ignoring for many, many years. So you got to take a minute. You have to take a beat, sit in the discomfort for a minute, do the inner work to get in touch with your intuition, to figure out, well, what was right for me all along? What have I been waiting for this entire time? And when I talk about that natural rhythm, following your natural rhythm, that's oftentimes how you're going to get to that who am I question. First of all, though, let me say, who you are is ever evolving and ever changing, and you're not going to find out who you are and then you settle the case and you can rest.
Damn it.
It ain't as simple as that. You have to get comfortable with the fact that it's a lifelong journey and you don't come to the end of that journey till you die. And you got to get comfortable with the fact that that's true. And you aren't just going to find a place, or you aren't going to find a field of Allison's out there where you're like, oh, there you are, all of my people. You will be evolving for the rest of your life. But getting comfortable with that, getting excited about finding out where that goes, that's what you're really trying to do when you say find out who am I. It means getting comfortable with never finding out who you are and being cool with just being along for the journey.
So I have to share a story about this because it kind of illustrates this. So this week, I'm on week 2 after I quit my job. And so, my job now is really to be still and be quiet and listen. I have this unbelievable opportunity, for a short amount of time, really, practically speaking, to figure this out. And, we have painters and stuff that we had to have our house painted. And I was like, I'm going to take this morning, I'm going to learn some new choreography. And I was like, that's what's going to happen. And the painters were all in the windows, so I couldn't really do it there. And so I went downstairs to my husband's office where he was working. And he's like, what are you doing? I was like, I wish I knew, I was going to dance. He's like, well, do you want to dance here? And so, he's got a TV in his office. So I was like, sure. So I'm doing this and I'm mentally beating myself up. Like, you are just fucking wasting space. Like, you quit your job to go dance and do choreography, and I'm like, oh, and my husband didn't say a word. You know what I mean? I'm like, I felt bad for him. I felt like I'm wasting my opportunity. And it was such a crystallized moment of my own self talk track of, this is not okay and this needs to change, that I can't talk to myself or regard myself in that way. And I have to kind of embrace that this feels fun, and I have this opportunity, but I do have that pressing sense of I should be doing something else, something different, something more, something less. But I feel like, should I rest first and then get shit done? Or do I get shit done so I can earn rest? And that, I think, is, I would imagine that people that are listening that maybe are like me, where they may have challenge in the quiet, may relate.
Heck yeah, they will. And yeah, that's this discomfort I'm referring to, sitting in that discomfort. That's a neural pathway that has been laid out for many, many years of your life, that the constant searching for what else am I supposed to be doing, your brain is literally stuck in that pattern.
Yeah, just give me a direction. I'll go for it. Yeah.
Right. But what people who always say, I'll do anything to silence my brain. I'll do anything. And I'm always like, will you wait?
Anything but that.
Will you sit in it for a minute?
Right.
And right. It's like, I'll do anything but that. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing you can do. And so if you want to reshape those neural pathways, there have to be more moments where that brain pattern presents itself as a thought process in your mind, and you say, that's a thought pattern in my mind. That's not me. That's a thought pattern that is stuck in my mind. It's used to ruminating. It's used to functioning this way. I'm trying something new. That is a brain process. That is not me. And taking that time to separate yourself so that you can just go, let's see what happens, brain. Like, I know that you think if I'm not productive, I die, which is really actually what
it's like a shark.
The fear center thinks I die. So it's life or death to the fear center of your brain. But if you go, let's just wait and see, and every time you don't die, you're literally rewiring how your brain sees that. Now, that's, a more physiological perspective, but to give people permission, you said, what do I do first? Do I rest? Do I do this? We literally should be able to do whatever feels most natural to us. That's how we're supposed to live. We're all supposed to play different roles. When everything is symbiotic, that's how it works. We're supposed to follow what I call our natural rhythms. Now, when you're dealing with depression and things like that, you have to, be afraid of following your natural rhythm, well, then you need to heal from whatever's causing that depression. You don't need to be aggressive towards yourself to get you off the couch. If your body tells you...
Can you say that again? Because I think that's really powerful, because people will beat themselves up for being on the couch or for watching Netflix, or, like, I should be working out. I should, but it's just so hard to get off the couch.
You'll never get up if that's how you're trying to do it. I mean, just think of a child or a puppy, or anything external from yourself. And you walk in and they're on the couch and you just start screaming, to do something different. Why are you so stupid? Why are you there? Is anyone going to do anything any different? Like, are they going to, get up and make a great life for themselves when you're speaking to them that way? No. Are they going to trust you when you speak to them that way? No. You cannot berate yourself into being, quote unquote, a better person or the right kind of person.
But how do you gently urge yourself to do something new? Honestly, like if it is working out, I hear about it a lot because I am, a dance instructor. So there are lots of people that will tell me, I really should, but I don't want to, or, I just can't seem to get off the couch, or, I never prioritize it. So there is a lot of self-berating with that. I wonder how, what is a gentle way to not berate yourself, but like try something new?
I think it's better first to lay a little bit of foundation about energy and how it works. And so first...
Give it to me good, Cindy. Tell me.
Yeah, because I can't answer that question for you, because it would be a different answer for everybody. But, we all have a certain amount of energy, and we know that physical activity depletes energy, and we're for some reason willing to honor that, but we do not pay attention to the fact that the mental game takes energy just as much as the physical game. I mean, we have 4,000 studies that support this.
So before we recorded, you talked about the mental anguish that we give ourselves that actually expends so much energy of like us bitching at ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. You use the example of, well, I know about self-care. I'll do a spa day, but then I feel guilty. Well, you literally just gave yourself energy and then gave it away. So like you did nothing. So it was pointless to do a spa day. Like if you're going to feel guilty after it, don't even do it. But you have to understand that this all takes energy, and you have a finite amount each day that you wake up. If you're depressed, the energy is being spent solely on keeping you alive, solely on getting up and going to the bathroom, because every other thought in your mind is so draining and is so dark and heavy. And it is such a fear, almost hopeless state of like, forget fight or flight, I'm going to die. So that takes so much energy. So until you find a way to create a reserve in that energy, which would mean healing from the depression, or being okay with going and having a spa day and not having the guilt after. Until you create a reserve of energy, you're not going to do this crap, or you're going to do it and it's going to burn you out, and then you can't cook dinner that night. Or, you know what I'm saying? Or you don't get off the couch the next day, or, you know what I'm saying? Overall, that energy is going to get made up somewhere.
I think it's hard to figure out, like I've been really vigilant about my energy, that I'll, have boundless energy. For me, working out feels like regenerative in many cases, but if I don't, then like I can crash out really quickly. And I wonder if that is like the mental anguish of, I don't really beat myself up for not working out. Like I work out fine. Like I don't need motivation for it. It's just part of who I am. But I do feel like it is an energy resource for me. In most cases, that feels good. There's a dopamine high, when you're finished with it, or just being in the room with people. But there are, like some really, I'm doing like a wave of a roller coaster, there are waves that I'm noticing of like energy surges and then crashes. And maybe that's me just readjusting to a new schedule and a new state of being.
Yeah. I mean, you've just upended your whole life, right? Do you think that possibly takes some energy?
Maybe.
So perhaps that ebb and flow, or as you say, roller coaster up and down, is if you followed a more natural rhythm, then when you felt like you wanted to go work out, or you felt that this energizes you, you go do it. Mm-hmm. And then when you feel more depleted, you rest in whatever way you want to rest. And it's so simple, but it's so hard to do. But if you do it and you just go, you know what, this is, my body needs this now. All right, I'll provide you with your needs. Just assume and just see what happens. If you follow your natural rhythm, assume, like, let's see what happens, see if the world falls apart. And if you start saying, okay, I feel that feeling of exhaustion, I should probably rest now. That's what my body is saying it needs. Okay, I have some energy. What should I do with this energy now that I have it? Not, I have all these things to do. I'd better come up with the energy because it's not there. Mm-hmm. Just see what happens if you follow a more natural rhythm. Because I know from personal experience, nothing bad happens and everything gets easier. And then you can talk about who am I and all, you can ask all these existential questions then. But first,
that is such a cool reframe too, because I'm thinking about, like, I'm like, all right, I'm in that energy state. I'm energized. I better just go for it now because this is not going to last, And I don't know if it is a scarcity thing or just, kind of adjusting to it. But I wonder about, people whose lives are overcommitted, like they are taking their kids to soccer and to piano and to, a math tutor after school, and they're working during the day, and it's hard when, maybe a dance class or something fun, and could be energizing feels hard to come by, and your energy is just kind of on E. And so, I wonder, how do you manage the energy?
This is when my advice is for people to shift the perspective to, what if my priority was to live a life of ease? That is my current priority in my life. I want to live a life of ease. So that is always in the forefront of my mind when I'm making decisions about how to do my calendar, about what I commit to, about, where we go on vacation. Every decision that we make, my priority is to live a life of ease.
What does the life of ease look like for you?
For me, I see clients 3 days a week. I work half time. So I work like 3.5 days a week. The other half of the time, I try to be as for real off as possible. I'm seeing friends. I'm spending time with my family. I'm hiking. I'm running. I'm doing whatever crap I want to do. And I genuinely tried to do that. And that only happened, once I felt worth it and I knew that I didn't have to earn that.
Because you didn't always have that luxury, because you worked I don't know if it was a full-time job, but you worked far, like in a, and you have a son that has activities and things to do as well.
Yeah.
And your husband, of course.
Yeah. I mean, we both own our own businesses, so we are very much dependent on
now
other
you
people.
do. Yes.
Yeah, we do. But even when you say I didn't always have that luxury, I always had that right.
Huh.
I didn't always feel deserving of that right. And I definitely worked all the time to prove it. Because I've always been insecure about my education. I don't have letters after my name. You've heard me say this several times. It used to be a source of insecurity. So I thought, well, I won't be the smartest or the most educated in the room, but I will be the hardest working. And that was what I did. And for my husband, I just thought, oh my gosh, he's the main provider. I've got to show that I'm doing something. So I had to always be doing something. And I took on all the things. But then when I just was able to accept, I was ready, I was healed enough from my own other stuff, all the things that would happen when I was still, to accept that, my worth is not attached to my productivity. I am worth these things simply by existing. Then I started leaning into my natural rhythm, and I'm ADHD. I'm really creative. I don't wake up early, lit up. It takes me a minute. I am very creative at night. And then all of a sudden I was like, well, what if that's fine? Like, what if I was always like, why can't I get up before I take my son to school and run and shower and cook a breakfast and do all these things?
The champion morning.
Right. And it was all of a sudden, it was like, so what?
Yeah.
And nothing bad happened. And I help people make this journey and nothing bad
Was it
ever
hard
happened.
though? Was it hard
yes,
to
it
let
was
go?
hard. Yes. It's terrifying. There were so many times that I would say to my husband, I know I'm laying down on the couch in the middle of a Wednesday, but I'm trying to prioritize rest right now. Like I was explaining to him, I'm working on this new thing.
Oh my goodness.
Of like following and he's like, I don't even care where you are. I don't care if you're on the couch. Like he's like, I'm not looking at you. Nobody's looking at you.
But you put that on you. And so I wonder, I think it is important to help with partners too, that not everyone is going to be as accepting, or some people, like I put that on my husband, that he's going to look at me like I'm not doing anything. And my husband, has an expectation of me to help out with cooking meals, which I hate. But it will help him out too, because I will have more time, and I'm dropping off and picking up the kids now and doing all kinds of stuff. So, tell me about what advice you give to getting partners on board with something that is countercultural, but necessary.
Yeah, no, just prioritize fixing your own stuff. Before you start heading to spouses and your children and everybody else, fix your shit. And then just when you heal yourself, you feel a level of worth. And you learn about boundaries. You learn about the way to treat yourself as a worthy person. And then you just start commanding, a certain level of respect and a certain level of treatment. And that tends to shake out. The good people in your life fall in line with that. And half the time they had no problem. You're way easier to live with now because you're not neurotic and insecure and all these other things. But, I just say I can't give you advice because I'm not good about A, B, and C, step 1, 2, and 3 with spouses or something, because everybody has a different marriage and their marriages are so freaking complicated. But I can say, fix you first, heal your stuff. When you heal your stuff, you will have self-worth. That's how you know that you're healing. And then living as a person with self-worth, you suddenly just set boundaries. The boundaries set themselves, and the thing that you command for others to treat you, it works itself out. Because I was always telling my husband, you need to go to therapy. You need to go to therapy. And it would just be a source of argument. And then I fixed my own stuff. And I just started commanding a certain level of treatment. And it forced him to look at, oh, wow, yeah, like I knew she was screwed up. We all knew I was, right? But then when I was healing, it became clear. It took all my baggage out of the room. And then he had a little bag over there too,
Right.
And then he went and got counseling, and man, it's been phenomenal. Just like I knew it would have been back in the day. But I was too fixated on, I need you to fix your stuff to make life easier for me.
Yeah.
And then when I made life easier for myself, it was like, I'm good. I see you got some stuff over there, but I'm not taking it from you. Like I'm good, and I'm going to keep on being good, but man, it looks like you're hurting over there. Mm-hmm. And then that's a much more compassionate place for people to actually, seek getting their own support or treating you with, in the way that you were kind of wanting the whole time.
Yeah, we're going to do a whole episode on boundary setting. And I wonder if you'd be willing to share of your own experience. I imagine when you start putting boundaries on, it redefines a lot of relationships. And there are probably a lot of relationships that maybe there is a mourning period that they no longer serve you, of that. What did that look like for you? Or what do you see how that plays out for maybe some other people that you consult with you?
Yeah, but boundary work is hard. It's very difficult. Mm-hmm. And you have to have the self-worth to start setting them. They kind of work together. Like you kind of start setting them and they give you a little bit of self-worth, and use that self-worth to start setting them more. Yeah, I don't know. I know you're going to cover this, and so I'm sure they're going to do a better job at it. But just in general, boundaries are an essential part, and they help draw lines for what relationships are healthy and productive, and the ones that should be there not that they're good for you or that you're good for them, but just that you're good for each other. It's a healthy relationship that should continue. They fall in line when boundaries are set, not walls, but boundaries. And the ones that aren't serving either of you, when boundaries are put up, they just tend to fall where they're supposed to. But if you start thinking about too much in the future, you'll psych yourself out of setting the boundaries for fear of what they might do.
Sure.
So I just say, just keep going forward. And it is important part of your healing process, but it'll shake out how it needs to, and you'll probably be at peace with it when it's happening. So try not to think too much into the future about it. Just know it'll shake out how it's supposed to.
So what is the laziness lie? What is the lie?
That your worth is your productivity.
Does laziness exist?
No, there are no lazy people.
Huh.
Show me anybody that you roll your eyes at and you think,
Yeah, somebody who's playing video games all day. They never really wanted to get a job. They want to be a professional video game player. Immediately that comes to my mind. So I'm judging, I'm kind of calling myself out on that. But somebody that is not going out to play, they're not studying, they don't seem to be I don't know if contributing member of society, but they appear to just be wasting their life on video games.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about the whole, like, if they're a perfectly content gamer, their community might be in the gaming community and they might be perfectly fulfilled. And they're entitled to having a fulfilled life just like you are, and they don't have to earn that. But if you're talking about someone who's more like a leech on society and they're really dependent on society, and they are not able to sustain on their own, I would argue that there's probably some mental illness going on there. I would argue that they're not too
systemic
happy.
too, depending on.
Yeah. There's certainly systemic limitations, but I like if you talk to people who are living without homes, right, and they are working harder mentally and oftentimes physically than anybody else. It is not an easy life. Nobody is just laying around because they want to lay around. People who aren't happy are struggling with mental illness. People who are depressed and you're like, why can't you just? Because they can't. Like again about that energy depletion, their energy is going all day, every day to keeping them alive. And it might cause them to act in a selfish way. It might cause them to make poor decisions. But anybody with the same mental energy being spent that they're spending would be making those same decisions.
That's a very compassionate view too. I wonder if, like I just came out with a whole lot of judgment over this too, like if I reframed it, what does that mean? It's important. So about the laziness lie, what do you know that you wish other people could know? I always ask you this.
Yes. I wish people knew to prioritize a life of ease. Everybody, if they could just prioritize a life that is the most ease for themselves, that is not a bad thing. That's not a selfish thing.
Do you think life is hard is a bad thought terminating cliche?
No, life is hard.
Life is hard.
It is hard. It's a whole lot harder when you're living a life that isn't yours, or it's a whole lot harder when you think you have to earn worth.
We need to put that as the as the audiogram.
Yeah, no, like I see this saying all the time, like healing is hard, hurting is hard. Choose the hard. It is hard. It's all hard, but man, like nothing about my life of ease isn't hard. It still challenges all the beliefs that were set in my mind from the day I was born. But man, like I have so many more moments of awe. And I think that's what I'm chasing, right? Is that I need more time to have moments of awe, and I'm not going to be in awe living somebody else's life. And I'm certainly not going to have time for awe if I'm just shuttling a kid around everywhere I go and living for everybody else, making sure everybody's needs are met. And this is not a selfish thing. This is hard for me to even say, but I'm a selfless person. Like I'm not selfish. I'm not a jerk. I get energy from caring for others, but I was doing it to earn something. I was doing it to earn the right to be loved, to earn a place at the table. And it turns out I still do all of those caring, compassionate things. That didn't go away when I stopped thinking that laziness existed. And I started following my natural rhythm. I kept doing all those things, but I didn't have the mental game of thinking I had to earn them. And then it was just like a fog lifted. And now I did those things, and I had energy to do other things that I want to do.
I feel like we need to mic drop.
Mic drop.
That was awesome. Cindy, how can people get in touch with you or work with you?
Yes, my website is cindyrobinsonllc.com, and that's pretty much, you can find everything on there.
You can find it all there. And I would highly recommend going to Instagram, Cindy Robinson LLC. It will blow your freaking mind, especially if you find any of this interesting or have children, especially of the teenage age, because it will blow your damn mind with how good it is and how thought-provoking and culture-changing it is. Cindy, thank you for being on time number 6. When I left this interview with Cindy, I felt a weight lift off of my chest, as I am deeply trying to unwind my own self-worth, being so entangled in how much can I produce. Once again, Cindy Robinson always knows a little known but hiding in plain sight answer. You can follow her anywhere on Cindy Robinson LLC. I also suggest you think of 3 overachievers in your life and text this episode to them. I bet it can help. And while you've got your phone in your hand, please go to ALLISON'S and subscribe to my personal journal to learn more about this. I send weekly personal emails. They're short, they're insightful, and usually they've got something funny, but they are where I am the most personal. Thank you for listening and for your support. And I have to say that Culture Changers podcast just turned 3 years old this past weekend and is now ranked in the top 1.5% of podcasts worldwide. Thanks to you. See you next week, or find me on the socials, baby.